how do you draw fireworks? So, it's my fun little tutorial. I tend to start with just like a little center dot and then move outwards. I think it's a pretty basic firework. There's a few different ways that you can do it. Like that's a pretty easy one. And then add little bits. That's like the easiest firework. There's lots of different types of fireworks though. You see, they're kind of like you have a single point and you got a bunch of stuff rocketing out of it. Because like what a firework is, it's an explosive, right? You have a single point that something explodes from. So especially with a piece like this, I knew that I wouldn't really need a sketch. I kind of had what I had, but like I knew I wanted in the back of my brain, and I was like, okay, I could probably just do this straight up. I don't really need anything to plan. But the first thing that I thought of was spacing. So the first thing I wanted to think of was, okay, especially with the rule of thirds, we don't want everything directly in the center. We want to make sure that we have that we have our main subjects on the points of the rule of thirds, you know, split the canvas into a 3x3 grid, and our main subjects should be on those points. So we have the cityscape on the bottom 2 points, and we have the fireworks on the top 2 points. That was what my thought process was. Also didn't want to spend too much time on the clouds in the background. I personally like just normally painting in clouds because I just think it looks more organic that way. A little bit less robotic, in my opinion. But if you really like using cloud brushes, be my guest. I tend to like to use the cloud brush for texture by comparison to actual clouds. I struggled a little with drawing the water when we have water reflections, especially when it's far away. It really, especially if you just look at photos of it, it really does just look like the image, like the actual buildings or like whatever is above the water is just reflected below with just a little bit of distortion. I was initially gonna try with the smudge brush, like the smudge tool, but it didn't actually look that great, so I went back in with a proper brush and went back and distorted the buildings myself. I also went back in and added a few highlights. Especially when we're drawing reflections as well, we don't want the reflection to be the exact same strength, the exact same boldness as the actual image above. So we want to make sure that everything is just a little bit duller and it really sells that darker water that the buildings are reflected in. Because I have like a city skyline, right? So all I'm doing is just kind of messing up the original silhouette here. Yeah, if you notice how I did these fireworks, right? Start thick on the outside, get thinner as we go on the inside, because really what a firework is it's like a bunch of shooting comets, right? It's a bunch of shooting shrapnel, colorful shrapnel. That's what fireworks are. And of course you can get creative with it, right? You can have some that are more dense, some that are more thin. There's some that it's like, they're multiple colors, right? When drawing the fireworks, I also wanted to make sure there was enough variety. We don't want to draw the exact same firework over and over. There are tons of different fireworks you can try to draw. But I wanted to make sure that there wasn't only different sizes. I wanted to make sure there was different shapes. I wanted to make sure there was different colors. I like to have like more than one color in each firework. I thought that looked pretty neat. But yeah, variety is really, really important for a piece because you want to add that visual interest back in, because without any variety, everything would be too symmetrical and too similar. So it'd be a little bit more boring without it. Right? We call this, in our artist terms, we call this the principle of design space, right? Balance as well. We want to make sure that everything in our canvas is balanced.
If you'd like to support the channel and the creation of free arts education, become a member on Patreon for working files, behind-the-scenes posts, and discounts on our class offerings.
Okay, so once you have your fireworks here, right, here on Photoshop, what I can do is just hit FX, well not stroke, but if I hit FX and then outer glow, I can choose like colors to make stuff glow and whatnot. And I can just add a glow that way, but I've learned that other programs don't have that. So what you can do is if you take your layer with all your fireworks on it, right? If you don't do them on one layer, you put them all in a folder, copy the folder, merge it. But if you have all of your fireworks on one layer, you copy that layer and put it underneath. You can call this your blur. And it's different on every program, like where it is, but for me, I can go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And just make that blur as big as you'd like it to. And you kind of create an automatic glow. You can even copy it a couple of times to make it like more opaque if you'd like that. And then just play with the opacity later down the line. But yeah, and now you have a glow, really nice and easy. If you wanna do it by hand as well, like you can adjust some areas on here to make some sections brighter. If you have here, if I want to make the tips of these fireworks a little bit brighter like that, like I can do that, adjust it with a brush manually like that. If you'd like to, you can totally do that as well, but that's the easy way to do it. It's nice and quick. And you can even change the color of the glow a little bit if you decide to do it this way. You lock the layer and you just brush in to change the color.
Join a virtual class to learn live from our professional artists. Get creative assignments, individual guidance, and real-time feedback on your artwork. Start today and level up your practice. If you learned something new, like and share this with a fellow art nerd. If you love receiving quality and free arts education, subscribe. Here's a couple other videos you can check out next.